everyone, and welcome. My name is Jennifer Wu, and I'm a technical lead here at Plaid, where I've spent the last 6.5 years working on a number of products across Plaid, from our consumer-facing products to most recently, our fraud solutions. But these days, I've been focused on our developer platform, working to dramatically improve how developers and customers integrate with Plaid and thinking of new ways to help improve your experience with our products. Today, I'm super excited to tell you more about how we're enabling AI to help you better manage your integrations and build faster with Plaid. We're still in our early innings here, but I hope this is a first step into bringing Plaid to AI tools that you're already working with to improve your workflows. Your feedback drives our roadmap, and so we'll have some time later for you to jump in with questions, and you can also reach out to us directly if there are other integrations or products that you'd like to see us build to help improve your experience with Plaid. Before we dive in, just a few quick logistics. We'll reserve time at the end to answer as many questions as we can, but we may not get to all of them. So a reminder to type any questions into the Q&A portion of the chat as we go, and our team will do our best to answer as many of them. This session is being recorded, and we will share it at the end. Let's dive in. Today, we'll cover first a primer on MCP, second, new ways to use AI to improve developer workflows, and third, some demos walking through all the tools that we've launched recently. And then finally, at the very end, we'll wrap with Q&A. Let me start with the big picture. AI is quickly changing how software gets built and increasing the possibilities of what we can create. Just a few weeks ago, in our internal hackathon, we were seeing firsthand just how much these new AI tools are dramatically improving the velocity at which we can build and ship new things. But up until recently, we were limited on what we could do with AI by what context the models were trained on. And that's where MCP comes in. Over the last couple of months, Plaid has launched a collection of MCP servers to help developers access Plaid integration data with AI assistants, large language model APIs, and developer tools. Our goal is to help build new efficiencies by introducing new ways to integrate and engage with Plaid using the AI tools that you're already using today. But before we go deep, let's start with what is an MCP server? MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and it's a standardized way to provide context to large language models. You can think about it like a universal power strip for AI, letting AI models plug into data sources or tools from the same outlet so that they can access fresh context and capabilities beyond what they were originally trained for. Without context, AI can be limited in its knowledge, sometimes offering outdated or irrelevant information, sometimes even hallucinating. But with context, AI can be significantly more helpful. And that's why, at Plaid, we've been focusing on making it possible to share Plaid context with AI models. We think of MCP as the bridge between your AI tools and your Plaid data. Whether you're using a hosted model, a local dev tool, or a support bot, MCP gives those AI-powered tools just the right level of context to help you do more with less effort. Internally, we've been really excited about the potential of AI and how we can help you improve your workflows using MCP. Our initial hypothesis is that by giving AI the right context, we can help you build faster using AI by natively integrating with the coding tools you're already using, and leverage AI to better understand critical workflows associated with your Plaid integration, like debugging items and investigating conversion. We're trying to remove the bottlenecks so that you can move faster and focus on the parts of your product that matter the most. Today, we offer two different flavors of MCP servers. The first is our Sandbox MCP. Our Sandbox MCP is a local server that's designed for integrating with Plaid. It connects only to Plaid's Sandbox environment so that you can integrate test, and prototype with Plaid. The second is our Dashboard MCP that allows you to connect AI models directly with the information that you would typically access in the Plaid dashboard, like link conversion and debugging data. We'll be showcasing both of these MCP servers in the upcoming demos. So you might be wondering, how does this all come together? Our collection of MCP servers can now help you with 3 key use cases. First, it enables you to streamline your development workflows so you can get up and running quickly with just a prompt, right from any AI-powered integrated development environments, like Cursor or Claude Code. Second, it lets you power custom agents with real-time diagnostics context, so you can do things like provide AI-powered support to your users directly inside your product. And finally, it makes it easy for you to access key information from the Plaid developer dashboard, like conversion analytics and item health, directly from AI chat tools like Claude. Now let me show you how you can leverage all these tools from building to launching and scaling with Plaid. Starting with building with Plaid. In this section, we'll highlight 2 key tools from our AI development toolkit: our AI integration guides and the Sandbox MCP Server. I'll first walk through how you can build a personal finance app using our AI integration guides, and then I'll show you how you can simulate realistic transactions data for testing using Plaid's Sandbox MCP Server. Let's get started with building a personal finance app using Plaid's Transactions AI integration guide. We'll call this app Pennywise. In our AI coding tool, we've chosen Windsurf here. We'll simply reference Plaid's integration guide, pick our frontend and serving frameworks, tell the AI where to find our API keys, and let it take it from there. Plaid's AI integration guides are designed to help you get up and running with development quickly. They have all the context needed for an AI, so you don't need to dig through documentation or figure out which APIs to use. You can simply drop our guide into a prompt and have AI do the work for you. And now that we've given the AI a little bit of time to do its thing, you can see that we've got a quick start app up and running with a full Plaid integration in our Sandbox environment. This app handles everything in just a few minutes: the Plaid link integration, the public token handoff, the backend exchange for an access token, which we then use to call the Plaid API to get transactions. Again, the only thing that we needed to do to get all of that working was reference the guide and give the AI some light instructions. Everything else just worked. And we've created more guides to help you leverage AI to get up and running with other Plaid products as well. And you can access all of these on our GitHub pages. We currently have AI integration guides built out for Plaid's transactions, transfers, and signal products, and we're actively working on more. For Pennywise, we use the transactions guide, which you can see here. Our guides get you up and running with a quick start in minutes in whichever AI coding tool you're using, whether it be Windsurf, Claude Code, or Cursor. And as I mentioned earlier, we're working on more guides like these, and we would love your input on what else you'd like to see from us when it comes to supporting you with leveraging AI when building with Plaid. Now that we've got the basics working, let's go back to Pennywise to take it a step further and use AI to help us generate more realistic transactions data so that we can test and iterate on our app using real-world scenarios. Here, we have the Plaid Sandbox MCP server running locally. It has access to tools in the Sandbox environment that you can use specifically for development. We've also configured Windsurf to run the MCP, and now we're going to use it to help us create a custom user in Sandbox with some more interesting test data so that we can visualize how the charts we created earlier will look with some more realistic transactions patterns. Now, for those of you that have worked with our custom user feature before, you'll know that it takes some time to generate enough dummy data to create interesting test scenarios. And when you're focused on building your product, that's probably not where you want to be spending your time. And so let AI take care of it for you and focus on what you do best, which is building great products for your end users. It looks like the AI is done, and we've refreshed the page, and you can see all the new data flowing through. So we can now get back to building and iterating some more. Instead of getting stuck on setup, you are free to experiment, iterate, and build faster, all with the help of AI. So now that your app is up and running, let's walk through how you can leverage Plaid's Dashboard MCP Server in the launching and scaling phases with Plaid to improve your support automation and help you monitor and improve key metrics as you grow. As a reminder, Plaid's Dashboard MCP Server is a remote MCP server, meaning that it's hosted by Plaid and accessible on the internet. It connects to production analytics and diagnostics data, but does not surface any consumer PII. This is distinctly different from the Plaid Sandbox MCP server that we were running earlier. The Sandbox MCP server is meant to run on your local machine and has access to a totally different set of tools and data in the Sandbox environment strictly for development purposes. Okay, so getting back to Pennywise. We've now vibe coded our way through refining the UI, and we've launched our product to our end users. But it seems like one of our users here, Miriam, is running into a problem syncing her accounts. Let's see how we might be able to help her resolve this. We've hooked up an AI support chat agent built using Anthropic's API to Plaid's Dashboard MCP server so that it can tap into context from Plaid to help us troubleshoot Miriam's issue in real time. It seems like Miriam's connection with Plaid was deleted. More specifically, as we read through the response, her connection appears to be broken because she revoked her consent to share data with Pennywise. This is a new error for us that we haven't seen before, but luckily Plaid suggests that we should prompt Miriam to reconnect her item using Plaid update mode, which is Plaid's way of allowing an end user to repair their connection. Here, you can see Miriam reconnecting her Bank of America account. After she's done that and refreshed the page, we can see that did the trick. Miriam's data is updated and her connection is now syncing and healthy again. You might be wondering, how did we do that? Well, behind the scenes, what we're doing is we're using Anthropic's API along with the Plaid Dashboard MCP server to help us answer Miriam's question. We simply include her message into a predefined prompt template, pull her item ID from our database, and send all of that over to Anthropic. From there, the model automatically chains together the right Plaid MCP tools like list teams and debug item to help us answer Miriam's question without needing a human in the loop or the filing of a support ticket. And this is the power of context-aware AI. Instead of answering blindly, the agent can tap into real diagnostic tools from Plaid and actually help Miriam fix her problem. And this doesn't just work with Anthropic. We also support OpenAI's API, so you can use whichever model fits best in your stack. And as more large language model APIs support MCPs, you'll be able to use the Dashboard MCP server with them as well, thanks to MCP being that universal power strip. Now let's zoom out and see how Plaid's Dashboard MCP server can help you optimize your whole integration, right from any MCP compliant client. We'll be using Claude Desktop in this last demo. To start, let's ask Claude to pull last month's conversion data using the link analysis tool. In minutes, we'll get back a summary of how many users completed link versus how many dropped off, complete with some rich visualizations. Overall, we're seeing fairly strong conversion data. But as we dig into it, we do notice a few days where our conversion dips to 0. We should investigate that further. So let's ask Claude what the most common error is and how we might be able to help our users avoid it. It turns out invalid link token is our most common culprit. And because Claude can combine context from Plaid's MCP with public sources like the Plaid docs, it can generate tailored suggestions. You can see it immediately recommends addressing token expiration and adding more robust error handling patterns. We should add those to our backlog. Now let's see what Claude recommends we do to improve our overall link conversion. With a single question, Claude is able to use the conversion context to analyze each step of the Plaid link funnel, pinpointing institution select to handoff as the place where we have the highest drop-off. This is usually where users input their credentials, so it might be a bit outside of our control. But Claude gives us some other helpful suggestions, like studying weeks where we had unusually high conversion, addressing common errors, and best practices, like setting clear expectations with users about Plaid first. With Plaid's Dashboard MCP powering Claude Desktop, you get tailored, real-time insights without needing to wire up anything custom. And that's just a taste of what Plaid's Dashboard MCP Server can do: debugging, conversion insights, usage monitoring, and more. And because it works with any MCP client or large language model API that supports MCP, you can weave these capabilities into your current workflows or invent entirely new AI-driven experiences. We're excited to see what you'll create with this new tool. We're just getting started. At Plaid, we're continuing to build more tools, more guides, and more integrations to make AI even more useful for developers building with Plaid. You can explore everything that we've showcased today at the links on this slide, including our GitHub pages and our public docs. And we'd love to hear from you. What should we build next? Drop ideas in the chat. And that's all that we had for today's prepared content. Thank you so much for joining us. With the time that we have left, let's jump into some questions from the chat. Okay, so it looks like the first question that we have here is, what other products does Plaid have AI guides for? So we covered this really briefly in the demo, so if you didn't catch it, that's totally okay. We currently have AI guides for Plaid's transactions, transfers, and signal products, and we're working on more guides. As a quick reminder, our integration guides are designed for large language models to help you get a working integration with Plaid. So the way that we've designed these guides are focused on each of the individual products and all the integration touch points that you'll need to implement to be able to get a full end-to-end integration working with each of those products. In the demo earlier, you saw the transactions guide in action, and that helped us get a link integration set up, which has many steps, and also helped us make our first API call to fetch transactions from Plaid's API. With the transfers AI integration guide, you'll be able to get a working integration up and running with Plaid's transfers product, which is our product that allows you to make an account-to-account money movement. And with that AI integration guide, you'll also be able to have that guide help you get a working link integration specifically for transfers, authorize a transfer, create a transfer, monitor a transfer, all those things. It's all in the guide, and you don't need to go read our docs on how it works. You can just use that guide to get that integration working. The signal guide is for our signal product, which is our product that allows you to assess the risk of an ACH transaction before you initiate it. And so with that guide, it also has the context for spinning up the link integration for signal, as well as the API calls that you'll need to make to actually make those risk evaluations. So to summarize, we have AI guides for transactions, transfers, and signal, and we're working on more. And if you have any suggestions of which guide you'd like to see from us next, do please let us know. Okay, it looks like the next question here is, does Plaid charge for MCP access today? The short answer to this is no, we do not charge anything for MCP access. Everything that you saw today in the demos, the AI integration guide, the Sandbox MCP server, the Dashboard MCP server, those are all available to you at no additional cost from Plaid. The only exception that I would call out is if you want to use any of the things that we showed today with any other tools or services like Claude by Anthropic or OpenAI's APIs or Windsurf or Cursor, those tools and services may have separate costs. So for instance, if you want to use Claude, which is hosted by Anthropic, it requires a specific plan with Anthropic to be able to use it with our MCP server. So you may have additional costs there from Anthropic, but none from Plaid. Beyond that, you can get started with everything that we showcased today using just your existing Plaid Sandbox or production setup. The next question here is, how do I get access to the Plaid MCP server on Anthropic's API? I'm actually going to answer this question for both Anthropic and OpenAI because the OpenAI's APIs, because they actually have similar sort of prerequisites. So the first thing you need to do is you actually need to have access to Anthropic's APIs and OpenAI's APIs, depending on which API you want to use. So once you have access to that, you also need access to Plaid. So set up a developer account with us if you don't already have one and get your API keys. After you've done those two steps, you should be able to access the MCP server with the responses API for OpenAI or the messages API for Anthropic. To actually connect to those MCP servers, when you make API requests to Anthropic or OpenAI, you'll need to include a specific configuration in your API request to specify the connection to the Plaid MCP server. And as part of that configuration, you'll also need to include a token so that those APIs can authenticate with Plaid's Dashboard MCP Server. And the way that you create that token is by calling an endpoint that you can find on our public docs at plaid.com/docs/MCP. And there's an API that you call there to create a token, which you would then include in your actual request to the AI models. The thing that I would call out is the token that you generate with Plaid is going to expire after 15 minutes. And when it expires, you can either create a new one or you can update your existing one using a refresh token that will give to you when you create that initial token. So to summarize, to get access to the Plaid MCP server on Anthropic's or OpenAI's APIs, you need access to their APIs, access to Plaid's API keys, and then you will need to call a specific endpoint to create a token so that you can configure your API requests to authenticate with our dashboard server. Cool. Okay, the next question here is, how do I use the local MCP server? I assume the person who asked this question is referring to the Sandbox MCP server. So just a quick reminder, we have two different flavors of MCP servers. One is the Sandbox one, the other is the Dashboard one. The Sandbox MCP server is designed for development and runs on your local machine. The Dashboard MCP server connects to production, analytics, and diagnostics data and is hosted by Plaid. So the Sandbox MCP server, you can use it, and there's some more details on how to actually get it set up on our GitHub pages, specifically in the AI coding toolkit repository. But in short, the way that you use it is you need to configure your IDE to run that server locally. And we have instructions for how to do this on GitHub for Cursor, VS Code, and Claude. It's effectively a simple configuration file that you just need to copy and paste directly into your IDE. Oh, and one other thing that I forgot to mention, you need to pull down the Sandbox MCP repo as well so that your IDE actually has code to run when it tries to run the Sandbox MCP server. So to summarize that, pull down the repository, go to our GitHub pages, get the configuration that you need to copy and paste into your IDE, and then from there, your IDE should be able to connect to the local MCP server. The next question here is, how do you share the Plaid API keys with the AI? This is a great question. So your API keys are secrets, and just like how you shouldn't log your API keys in plain text, as a best security practice, you should also never input your API credentials directly in plain text in your editor or share it directly with an AI. In our demo earlier, what we did was we used environment variables to share references to the API keys. So that way the AI can generate the code using the environment variables without ever actually having direct access to our API keys so that our API secrets stay secret. If, however, you do accidentally share your credentials with the AI, what I would recommend you do is go into the Plaid dashboard and go into the developer settings page, and there's a place there where you can perform a key rotation. The next question is, what else can I use the Sandbox MCP server for? Great question. Okay, so the Sandbox MCP server has a couple of other tools. We showcase the custom sandbox or custom user tool, but you can also use the Sandbox MCP to search our documentation, create sandbox access tokens, and simulate webhooks. And my favorite tool in there is the custom user tool, just because of how much time it can really take to generate an interesting custom user to test a particular scenario. And large language models are fantastic for generating data like that. But the other tool that I think is quite useful and a close runner-up is our documentation search tool. And for those that have used AI-powered editors, you know that they nowadays often have the capabilities to actually search the internet and pull information from that to help generate responses. So you might be wondering why use this documentation search MCP tool. Our documentation search MCP tool is actually powered by the same thing that powers our AI chatbot on our public docs. And so it will produce higher quality results and more up-to-date data information than what an AI with web search capabilities might produce. So if you have the Sandbox MCP server up and running and you're trying to integrate with Plaid, I highly recommend you leverage that to search our docs instead. Okay, the next question is, which Plaid products does this work with today and what is coming next? So I touched on the AI integration guides earlier. So those guides are only built out today for transactions, transfers, and signal. But the two MCP servers are totally product agnostic, and so they work with all of the Plaid products. So the Sandbox MCP server contains tools that you can integrate to help you integrate with other Plaid products, and the search documentation tool that I mentioned earlier, that tool searches all of our docs across all of our products. So if there's not an AI integration guide for a product that you want to work with yet, you can use our doc search tool to help you answer questions and also integrate with other Plaid products. The Dashboard MCP server is also product agnostic. That MCP server has a few tools in it. It has the ability to debug items, get your link conversion data, list your dashboard teams, and also usage data. So the usage data tool is actually the one that is interesting to use with our different products because it contains all your product usage from with Plaid. And so that tool works for all the products that you can search usage for in the developer dashboard. Yeah, and with the AI integration guides, like I mentioned earlier, we're actively working on expanding coverage to more products, and we'd love your input on what would be most helpful for you. There is a question here around if is any customer data exposed to AI models, and how do we manage privacy? Short answer here is no. Plaid does not expose any end user PII to AI models. The three things we showcased today, none of them share any consumer data. The Sandbox MCP server in particular only connects to the Sandbox environment and are the same thing that powers our public docs. And so it never connects to any services that could actually expose end user PII. The Dashboard MCP server, on the other hand, only connects with analytics and diagnostics data, not any user identifiable data. Diagnostics data here includes things like the state of your Plaid item, whether it's healthy or not, and metadata associated with the status, like if the item has been deleted or if the status could be associated with a known connection issue with a specific financial institution. Okay, there's a question here around, is the MCP server open source? So the Sandbox MCP server is open source. You can access the code, like I mentioned earlier, on our GitHub repository at the AI, I believe it's AI Coding Toolkit. That's the repo where you can access the Sandbox MCP server. The Dashboard MCP server is not open source. That one is hosted by Plaid, and so you can just connect with it directly. There's a question here around, how do I get access to the Plaid MCP server on Claude? So that integration, like I mentioned earlier, is available to Anthropic users on certain Anthropic plans. I believe you need a Claude Enterprise Team or Max plan. And as of a couple weeks ago, I think they were also working on expanding access to Pro users as well. I don't know if they've done that already. So you'll need to be on that plan. And then once you're on that plan, the owner or primary owner of your Claude organization will need to go into the settings page in Claude to actually add Plaid's Dashboard MCP as a connection that its users can access. And the way that you'll do that is you would copy and paste the Plaid MCP Server URL into the settings page, and you can find that URL on our MCP docs. And then within the actual session as a user of Claude, you'll actually need to specify that you want to connect to that MCP server when you're in that chat session. And when you turn on the connection to the MCP server, it will prompt you to log in to your Plaid dashboard account. Okay, I think that is all the time we actually have for questions today. Sorry I couldn't get to more of them, and I'm glad to see so much engagement from the audience. Thank you so much for joining us today to learn more about how you can use AI with Plaid. And again, if you'd like to learn more about anything that we've showcased today, you can check out the resources that we shared earlier. And the recording will be posted later on YouTube. So if you need to find references to them, you can look for it there. And if there's anything else that you would like to see from us, please do let us know and feel free to reach out. Thank you. Have a great rest of your Plaid Effects.